Hello all, welcome back to my YouTube channel all about VLSI. In this video, we are going to discuss about copy method in UVM. So what is meant by this copy method, everything we are going to see. So basically this particular copy method is UVM is a public virtual function of the type UVM object base class, and its primary responsibility is to be called by external code or users to initiate copying, and for checking that object being copied RHS is of correct type, and then call the do copy method, which does the actual field by field copying. So basically, this particular copy method, let's say suppose in the test class or in the top module, let's say we have a class transaction one, and for this particular class, let's say we have two handles. One is t underscore h1 and t underscore h2. So we are creating objects for these two handles using this new operator t underscore h1 is equal to new. So we are creating two objects for this particular handles. We have two objects t underscore h1 and t underscore h2. Now let's say this particular class has two properties, int a and int b, and the value of E is let's say 50 and the value of B is let's say 60. Okay. Now let's say if I want to copy the contents from T underscore H1 to T underscore H2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply write down T underscore H2 dot copy of T underscore H1. So like this, I'm going to copy one contents from one class handle to another class handle. And the shallow copy and the deep copy, which we have discussed in our system Verilog, these are also going to work down. So using this particular copy method, the shallow copy, the deep copy, everything, it is going to work. And this particular copy method, it is going to call internally the do copy method, which is a user defined protected virtual function that must be overridden by the user. Okay, so this particular do copy method will be written inside our classes. Okay, and it is overridden by the user in the derived class to define how the objects fields are copied. Okay, so this method is where the actual copying logic for all the class members is implemented. So let us see what is happening here with one example. So let us see one example. So first let me import the packages. So tick include UVM underscore macros dot include my sorry import UVM underscore package dot sv. Okay, so I'm importing this. Now let me create a class which is known as transaction, which is extending from UVM underscore object. Okay, and let me register this particular class UVM underscore object underscore utils transaction. So I'm registering this, and afterwards within a function new, I'm going to have this string name, which is equal to my transaction. Okay, so I'm passing this super dot new of name and followed by end function. Now, and here the function. Yeah. So this is your function. Now, so in this, I'm not going to write do copy for now. Okay, let's see what happens if we are not writing our do copy. Now, I will write one display function, and first of all, let me include some properties also. Like let's say bit 3 down to 0 address, and let's say bit 7 down to 0 data. Okay, so these are my two properties, and within a function void display, which is expecting a string, which is nothing but a message. So this particular function is expecting a argument as string, and we are just displaying the values. Dollar display the value of and we'll write the message also. So message, the value of address is percentage %d, and the value of data is percentage %d, comma message, comma address, comma data. Okay, so I'm just displaying this particular things. Okay, and let me write here percentages. Okay, So percentage s. So I'm basically displaying a string and followed by end function. Now and followed by end class. Now basically I'm creating a module test, and in this particular module I will create the transaction class handles transaction t underscore h1 comma t underscore h2. So for this particular class I have two handles, t underscore h1 and t underscore h2. Now let me, within an initial beginning block, let me create the objects for this. T underscore h1 is equal to transaction type id create t underscore h1, and let me create t underscore h2 is equal to transaction type id create t underscore h2. Afterwards, after creating these two objects, I'm going to here initial begin. Afterwards, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the copy method using the second handle t underscore h2 dot copy of t underscore h1. So I'm calling the copy method with the second handle t underscore h2 dot copy of t underscore h1, and I'm displaying the okay. So before performing this particular copy operation, I will assign the values of data and address using t underscore h1. T underscore h1 dot data is equal to let's say it is some 50, and t underscore h2 is equal to, let's say it is some 30. Okay, sorry, t underscore h1 dot address, let's say it is equal to some 10. Okay, so I'm assigning the values of data and address, and I'm calling the copy function from with the help of my t underscore h2, and I'm passing t underscore h1. So this is my source. So that is the contents which are present in my t underscore h1 should be copied into the t underscore h2. Okay, let me call the display function t underscore h1 dot display, and I'm passing t underscore h1 as my message. Okay, that's my argument, and t underscore h2 dot display, and I'm passing t underscore h2 followed by end and end module. So if I want to explain one more time, so basically what I'm doing is I've created a transaction class, and I've registered this particular transaction class, and this particular transaction class is having two properties. One is address and another is data, and we have written new function new, and we have written a void display function. So this particular display function is displaying the values of this address and data, and we have written a test module, and this particular test is having your two transaction handles. We have created the objects for those, and we have assigned the data value and address value, and we are calling the copy method with t underscore h2, and we are passing t underscore h1. Okay, and it is nothing but t underscore, we are displaying this t underscore h1 and t underscore h2. I'm not writing any do copy method, as we have seen in theory that we should always write do copy method, but I'm not writing do copy method. And let's see what is happening. So let me save this, and this is not uvm underscore package.sv, it's just uvm underscore package. So let me save this and run this. Yes, so we are basically getting t underscore h1, the value of address is 10 and the value of data is 50. But in the case of t underscore h2, the value of address is 0 and the value of data is 0. Okay, so this is what we are getting. The copy is not at all performing if you are not declaring our do copy method. So let's write down your do copy method. So let's say your function virtual function void do copy, and it is expecting a argument of UVM object type and RHS. Now what we are basically doing is we should copy each and every field, okay, of this particular RHS. So basically this RHS is nothing but of type UVM object, and whenever we are calling this particular copy method, this copy method internally calls the do copy method, and it will pass this particular object handle t underscore h1, and it will be copied to this RHS. Okay, so what is happening? So we are going to access each and every field, that is rhs.address and rhs.data. Okay, so these two things we need to copy it. Now we are copying this RHS dot address, we are copying and we should store it. So where we are going to store is this dot addr. Okay, and here we are storing this dot data. Okay, so this dot addr and this dot data, so we are storing it in the local copies. That's it. Okay, followed by end function. So let us save this and let us run this again. Let's see what is that we are having. See, so we are getting a fatal error, unresolved hierarchical reference to RHS.data from module transaction, module not found. So we are basically getting this particular RHS.data from transaction handle. So we should basically perform the casting. So dollar cast of your, let us create one transaction class handle, transaction transaction, let's say t underscore h. Okay, so this is our source, t underscore h comma rhs. Okay, now using this particular t underscore h, we are going to access them, t underscore h. Okay, so let me save this again and run this, and here also I'm going to pass t underscore h. Yes. So we can see the value of address is 10 and the value of data is 50. And in the second handle also, the value of address is 10 and the value of 50. So this is what we are getting, and this is how we are going to make this particular copy operation. And now in this particular copy method, let's say if we are disabling this particular object creation t underscore h2, and let's see what is happening. Let's disable the second one also, this one also, and let's see. Let me save this. So if I disabled the language, if I have disabled the object creation of t underscore h2, and if I am trying to copy, then this particular copy method will not work. Okay, so we are getting a fatal error and saying that object null pointer access. So the copy method needs the two objects to be created. Okay, the copy method will work on the two objects only. Okay, it cannot work if the any one of the object has not been created, if it is pointing to a null object, right? So this is your copy method. Now there is one more method which is known as clone. So in the case of clone method, clone is also going to call the do copy method only. But in the case of clone method, what is going to happen is it don't needs any object to be created. For example, in this particular copy method, if you have disabled this particular object creation, it was not working. But in the case of clone method, let's see the example of this particular clone method. So I'm basically trying to call my clone method. So using dollar cast, so t underscore h2 comma t underscore h1 dot clone. So let's see what we are getting. Let me save this and run this. Yes, so the things are working, and let me call the display method from the second handle also, and let me save and let me run this. Yes, so t underscore h2, we haven't created any object for the t underscore h2, but also it is going to work. Okay, so using the clone method, it is only going to create the object, and it is going to allocate the it is going to copy the methods. Okay, it is going to copy the contents. Yes, so this is how your copy method and clone method are going to work. Yes, so that's all about this particular video. So if you like this particular video, please like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel all about VLSI. Thank you for watching this video.